So moving on to the team I kind of mentioned a little bit, and that's going to be the Cavs and their strong start to the season. Um, their last, they won tonight. They ended up
Of
being the
course they
Magic,
did.
which obviously Magic losing Paolo, we already talked about that. But the last win that they ended up having before that was against the Lakers. They are now 6-0 with tonight's win against the Magic. A lot of this to me with the Cavs, it goes on one player that we've been waiting for a certain development for a while, and it's starting to happen now 5 games into the season, and hopefully it continues because, again, good basketball is good basketball for everyone, and that's Evan Mobley. Of Evan Mobley, we know what the type of caliber of player he is. He's a great defensive player. He's getting Defensive Player of the Year votes last year. We know who he is. We know what he can be, but when you have guys like Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen on the same team, what do? You're clogging the fuck out of the paint for guys like Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Right now, Evan Mobley is averaging, let me pull up the number. I have it written down. He is shooting 50% on 1.6 3-point attempts per game. And the league has not quite caught up to contesting him yet, which makes sense. It's only 5 games into the season. They're letting him shoot the open three. He's not really shooting anything contested at this point. But again, it's better improvement than shooting in the low 20s that he has in previous seasons. If he could just continue just to be a little bit better on the 3-point line and being able to spread out the floor, we're not looking for Evan Mobley to be the second option or the first option on this team. All we're doing is looking for a little bit of a higher volume from 3, shooting better, and now you're not able to ignore Mobley on the outside. Now you're generating more space, and now Mitchell and Garland have, and whatever wing player ends up winning the starting job out there in Cleveland, ends up having more space to work around. So that's the biggest thing for me with the Cavs in this strong start to the season. There's a couple more things I want to bring up, but before that, I want to ask you, what do you really make of what they're doing right now? Again, 6-0.
I've been looking for this freaking article. I don't know who it was. It might have been The Athletic. But basically, the Cavs this offseason, when they reached out for this coaching search, they were like, we're going to interview you. We're just mostly interested in what you're doing with Evan Mobley.
I think I remember reading this. It was like 90% of the questions were about Evan Mobley specifically.
Yeah, and Kenny Atkinson, obviously, I'm assuming, had the most exciting plan for him. And again, the smallest sample size in the world, but here we are, 6-0, and you can't get any better than that. That's an absolute fact. You've won every game you've played. There's no way to get better than that. So, Mobley, I think we've talked about this a couple times, man. These young guys, they just get these contracts now. He's got $225 million contract. Like, everybody's getting paid. You and me have had this conversation about Cade. We talked about Cade and comparing him to, Paulo. And it's just, if Mobley can get really good, it's going to be very exciting, especially with Jared Allen and what they have with the Cavs. Because so often these players get drafted and you want them to be like Wembanyama. You want them to be like from the jump, like really, really good. And you kind of forget about them because they're not. Well, here we are. We're a couple years into this dude's development, and here, he's out there doing the damn thing. So,
yeah, absolutely. I don't think so. Obviously, we know the Cavs they're a defensive-minded team, and a lot of their offensive production comes from those two main players I mentioned before, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland. So there's all your offensive production. Right now, they're doing something that they're probably not going to be able to keep up, and that is going to be their effective field goal percentage of 62.4%. The Boston Celtics last year recorded the highest effective field goal percentage in history. Only the champs. So at 57.8%, and again, the Cavs are at 62.4. The difference between them and the runner-up right now at 57.5 is the equal of the difference between second and 18th place teams. So it's a pretty massive jump. So they're not going to be able to, most likely not going to be able to keep that same type of percentage up. I'm going to bet a lot that they're not going to be able to keep that percentage up. But if Mobley can continue to do what he's doing right now, again, teams are going to have to contest him, which means they're going to have to respect him. And again, the floor spacing is going to be better. But when it comes to the defensive side, we know what it is, right? The Cavs are right now they're outscoring their opponents 20 points for 100 meaningful possessions, which is kind of nuts. When Allen and Mobley are sharing the floor, probably not going to keep that one up as well, considering when they played opponents with the double big lineups last year, they did not play well. But when it comes to the net rating of 8.6 from 2 seasons ago, they could probably replicate that. If they can replicate that, continue to play high octane defensive ball, and have Evan Mobley shoot the three effectively, I think this team is gonna very much compete for a high seed again. They were the 4th seed last year, and I think that if the Magic are going to be hurt, the 76ers look like dog shit, the Bucks look like dog shit. I think the Cavs have a really, really nice path to the 2 seed right now. Again, very early in the season, but the path looks really nice for them.
Yeah, the thing about Mobley is just with any young player, you want to see them be aggressive. You want to see them make decisions and go. You want to see them. I mean, his biggest thing was probably just getting downhill, and he's doing all three of those things early in the season. He's making a decision. He's going with it. He's being super aggressive, and that just makes it so much easier for everyone else. And I know that's a cliche, but when you have a player that is locked in like he is defensively, I saw a stat earlier. I think that players are shooting like 28% against him field goal percentage. Him and Chet, it's just
Yeah,
outrageous. And when you defend the way you do, and now you've become a force on offense, it just opens so much transitionally
yeah,
and getting out and running. And frankly, it's not even as if he's gotten to that point. Like there's still another level you assume with a young player such as him. And it really makes you wonder what the Cavs might look like if he reaches that this season. If it's still a development season for him, maybe, but if he can actually get to the next level, what they're trying to accomplish, and keep in mind, they're 6 games into this offense. They're
yeah.
6 games into what their coach is trying to do, and they're undefeated. It's just a fantastic start for them.
Yeah, no, I can't agree more. And again, it's right now the expectation of around the 2 seed, with all the injuries and other teams not looking so well.